We're talking shipwrecks and pirates on Kitco News today. Joining me today is Barry Clifford. He's an underwater archaeological explorer, best known for finding the remains of the sunken pirate ship the Whydah in 1984. It was carrying 4.1 tons of gold and silver. He joins me today. Barry, thanks for being with me.
No, you're quite welcome.
Barry, it's almost a childhood dream for me to be able to interview a real-life pirate treasure hunter. I know you like being described as an underwater archaeological explorer, but you are credited with finding the 18th century pirate shipwreck, the Whydah, that was in 1984. I'd like to start off by you telling us a little bit about how you became interested in finding the Whydah and what that experience was like.
Well, it started as a boy growing up on Cape Cod. I had heard these stories from my family, folk stories really, about a pirate coming to Cape Cod who had actually come to rendezvous with his girlfriend who had been condemned as a witch. And she was driven out of the town of Wellfleet. She built a little hut on the back of the Cape, and she waited for her lover to come back. Little did she know that he had turned pirate, and little did he know that she had been condemned as a witch. Now, all of this was just folk stories as a boy until we started looking for the ship, and a lot of the stories that we heard started to make a lot of sense.
So Barry, you obviously didn't go down alone. What kind of team is needed to take on such a feat?
Well, it's actually, there was just a couple of us back in 1982 that started looking for the shipwreck. Actually, John Kennedy Jr. and myself came over from Martha's Vineyard in November of '82 and realized shortly after diving for the ship that the ship was completely buried in sand. So after that, we devised a way to dig down through the sand. We got a fairly sophisticated salvage vessel, and we actively started looking for the ship in 1983 and discovered the ship in 1984.
So Barry, I know that you have found over 200,000 artifacts, including 60 cannons, over 15,000 coins, 400 pieces of gold jewelry. Was this what you were looking to find, or was there a specific artifact you were looking for?
We knew from primary source documents that there was about 4 to 5 tons of treasure on the ship, and we knew that the pirates had captured over 50 ships. But just recently, we learned that there were another 400,000 coins on the ship. And we learned that through the colonial papers from really solid primary source information. So actually, we learned that in June of this year, that there were another 400,000 coins on board the ship.
Barry, are you still bringing treasures from this shipwreck to the surface?
Oh, yeah, we had a very, very successful summer and just found a new section of the ship that was as far away as we've ever got from what we call Datum A, or from the central point of the shipwreck. And we found a whole new area of artifacts where we found thousands and thousands of artifacts all stacked up, buried 20 to 30 feet underneath the sand.
Barry, how much does it cost each time you dive?
Not much. I'm a real tight Yankee, but it's expensive, but it probably costs me less than anybody in the world.
Barry, are we talking 6 figures?
We spent at least a couple $100,000 this summer, but it would have cost much, much more than that for anybody else to do.
So Barry, you obviously do multiple dives when you're bringing the treasure to the surface. How do you ensure that no one else is getting to the treasure? How do you safeguard the property?
Well, Mother Nature takes care of that for us. It's a really, really dangerous place. It's actually called the graveyard, where there's over 3,000 shipwrecks, and we're anchored about 1,500 feet from shore. We have to put 7 big anchors out with a lot of chain, and we're right at the edge of the surf zone. So it's a very, very dangerous place. And then we have to dig down 20 to 30 feet under the sand to get to this layer of Pleistocene glacial till where all of the heavy material settles. So once we get down to this layer, that's when we start finding artifacts.
So when you find these artifacts, Barry, who do they belong to? Does it belong to the state? Does it belong to you?
We own them. Our company owns them. Massachusetts, we actually challenged Massachusetts. They originally claimed that they owned a third of anything that we discovered, and we settled that. We didn't settle it, actually. We went to Superior Court, and we were awarded the entire shipwreck.
So in '07, Barry, your artifacts became part of a nationwide exhibition called Real Pirates, where they were on exhibit. Were any of these artifacts ever for sale? If I want to purchase a coin, could I get one?
We don't sell anything. Everything that we've discovered, we keep together as a collection. We have 2 traveling exhibits that are traveling around the world with National Geographic, Real Pirates. Currently, we're in one of our exhibits is in Connecticut, and the other exhibit is at Union Station in Kansas City. And we're in the process of designing a museum to be built in Hyannis at the where JFK gave his inaugural acceptance speech.
So obviously there was a lot of gold on the ship, Barry. Are you a gold fan?
I am now.
And I hope gold prices rally for you, Barry. Are you working on any other discoveries? I know you were on the trail of finding Christopher Columbus's Santa Maria. How far along have you come?
Well, we've made very, very good progress on the Santa Maria, and I'm going to be very careful what I say right now, but we're very optimistic about some of the artifacts that we've recently been discovered, and we're studying them very carefully before making any announcements.
Was there gold on the Santa Maria?
No. The gold is in the story. The gold is in the artifacts.
And we'll be following that story closely, Barry. Before I let you go, what was it like diving with JFK Jr.?
You know, John was just a regular. Well, he was a kid when he was working with me, but he was a really good guy. He would jump in and do the dirtiest jobs and never complained, and was really a very special person.
And Barry, if someone wants to contact you or get more information, how can they go about doing so?
The best way to contact me or to find out what we're doing is on our Whydah Facebook, which would be Whydah Facebook or our Whydah website. Or you could call us here in Provincetown at the Whydah Museum.
And Barry, I'll be contacting you for one of those coins.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, Barry, on that note, happy Columbus Day and happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian audience. Thank you for watching this edition of Kitco News. You can email me at newsfeedback@kitco.com or follow me on Twitter at Daniela Camboni.